KC9VKV, WA8OPR, WA8OPR.
WA8OPR, roger, roger.
Yes, you have it, sir, KC9VKV. I think I worked you before, a very nice station. I know you provide a courtesy there. QTH Detroit, and the handle is Terry. You're 5x9 plus. KC9VKV, WA8OPR.
Roger, Terry. I was copying you on my local antenna, but I'm running a 4 SDRs this afternoon, and I checked through the 4 and wound up on Milford. You are doing about a 15 over on the Milford SDR, Milford PA SDR. So really sounding good, Roger.
Roger. Well, thank you. I missed the handle on QTH, and of course your audio is superb. We're just running ICOM 7300 and an old Kenwood TL 922 amp, about, I don't know, 800-900 watts. KC9VKV overload.
Roger, roger. Well, that 7300 sounds good. I have a setup on that audio setup. It starts with that compressor running at about a 3. I'm not sure. Are you running? Well, I would just go through this thing. We recommend setting that 7300 compressor at about a 3, and then go to your ALC and check with your mic gain in hand and adjust that ALC for mid-scale to 2/3. And between those two items, you will wind up with an average percent of peak modulation between 80 and 85%. Dynamic range will be about 3 dB, so very, very fat signal. And like I say, with that 3 on the compressor, that is chosen because I don't like to hear compressors work. You know, a compressor does its thing, and if it's adjusted properly, you don't hear it. You know, and those that, you know, you hear this sucking up, they've got that compressor too hot for what it does. You know, a compressor can only do so much before it starts getting in the way. Roger.
Roger. Yeah, well, I agree totally. I've got my compression at 4. I'll put it back to 3. Hit the wrong knob. Compressor down. Okay. There we go. 3. Mic gain. I run an electrolytic mic, ICOM SM8. So I just had this antenna come down and was just checking it to make sure it's still able to accept a little bit of power. We had a bit of a problem with the weirdest thing. I had severe windstorm, and the end of the antenna was whipping in the wind like crazy. And then a couple of weeks ago it came down, and then when I examined the wire, I run 18 gauge Teflon. The last 40 foot of the antenna wire, there was black corroded internal on the strands, and I held it in my hand, it just began to disintegrate. So I'm figuring between wind strain and throwing at 1 kW at it, I probably disintegrated the wire. KC9VKV, WA8OPR.
Roger, roger. Now you are talking about a multi-strand cable, and right at the end of it, as it goes into the end insulator?
No, it's at the, I start my end feds right at the shack, go out about 4 or 5 feet up to the peak of the house, and then they terminate sloping up to a tree. And this was at about the, 40 foot back from the, where it was highest in the tree. Back to you.
Roger, roger, because, you know, the way it works, the normal antenna, a dipole or even a long wire, you have the heaviest current right at the connection point to the transmission line. And then the further you go out, you start making a transition between the relationship between current and voltage. And by the time you get to the end of your element, you are at your highest voltage point. So it's not uncommon to have black on your multi-conductor cables towards the end, because that is, the maximum point of voltage. So that usually is, where you'll find that. But you weren't talking about the actual nylon rope that suspends it, Roger. You're talking about the wire itself.
Oh, it's the wire itself. Like I said, I run 18-gauge Teflon-coated wire. Slips through the trees very nicely. And this occurred physically within the antenna wire itself, this blackening and breaking down. I do want to try one thing, though. I don't really want to run near a KW on this antenna. I'm going to turn this down to maybe, there's 500 watts. I wonder if it's how much my signal degraded because of that. And I still forgot the QTH and the handle. KC9VKV WA8OPR.
Roger, Terry. Name here is Jim, Juliet India Mike, and we are located just beside Louisville, Kentucky. We're on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Downtown Louisville's about 4 miles away. Now, if you're running that wire through the actual branches of the tree, I've got a suggestion for you. I would use some of that clear plastic hose right as it goes across the limb, and then slip a piece of water hose over that other clear hose to double insulate it, because I have been running RG6U as an element, and I noticed one time when I pulled it down that the part of that antenna that had contacted the limb had actually smoked through, had blown through the insulation, and was actually arcing into the limb itself. So next time I put it up, I did put some extra insulation right as it made contact with the limbs. Roger?
Sure. Yeah, I kind of thought that's what was going on. It was actually creating a capacitance path. If you get any moisture, if it's after raining or something, physically in contact with a limb, it's just going to arc over. Yeah, I appreciate that, and the more I learn about this, the more I realize that's probably exactly what happened. Jim, you're a great copy, Jim. You're 5x9 plus 10. Of course, there's QSB. But if you could help me out here, I think I should only run about 500 watts on this antenna. Here is 500 watts, and there's about 900 watts. Back to 500 watts. How much difference in the signal? My guess is probably nothing at all. Back to you, Jim.
I'm looking at your audio signal on a VU meter, and I noticed maybe a 1 dB audio difference between the two. But I do have an excellent copy on you. Now if if your signal to me was more marginal, then I would probably see a larger difference between say 500 watts and 900 watts, at least 3 dB. Roger.
Roger. Jim, that makes sense too. Okay, very good, very good. Well, I remember you definitely, Jim, before, the courtesy you provide everybody. What a nice service. That's just great. And I think you said you're running an SDR rig. Okay. I normally run old-fashioned rigs like a TS930 or a TS940 here in the shack, but I just put the 7300 on today. But pleasure meeting you again, and thanks for all the work you do. KC9VKV WA8OPR.
Roger, Roger. We're running an older, about 30-year-old older Yaesu 990, but it's pretty heavily modified coming and going. Our receiver is flat from 100 cycles to an excess of 3K, and the transmitter is pretty much that same way. So, it is an oldie but a goodie, Roger.
Roger. The band took a terrible fade. I missed all of that. That does happen this time of day. Okay, I'm still not sure what you're running, but I'm assuming it... I'm not sure. Back to you, Jim.
Roger, if you've got a copy now, I was saying I was running a Yaesu ST990, about a 30-year-old radio, but it's been pretty heavily modified coming and going. The receiver is flat from 100 cycles to an excess of 3, and the transmitter is pretty well the same way. It's a 2.4. We're doing about 3 at this point. Roger.
Roger. I got the comments on the transmitter, but I still didn't get the nomenclature on it. Yaesu, Kenwood, etc. Back to you.
Oh, Roger, I keep forgetting. I'm monitoring Milford, PA, so I have an excellent copy on you, but you don't have that good on me. It is an older Yaesu FT990, ST990, about 30-year-old radio. Roger.
Sure. Oh, well, that just sounds great. The Milford thing, what does that mean, Jim? You've got a remote receive station, over?
Roger, I am running 4 SDR receivers. I'm monitoring Rochester, New York, Raleigh, North Carolina, Milford, Pennsylvania, and Alexandria, Virginia, and I have a 6-position rotary switch that feeds my input select, and I can check those out. And plus, my receive audio is on that 6-position rotary switch also, so I can check those items out in twice in about a second and a half, as far as being able to see where the signal is and be able to pick the hottest one. Roger.
Roger. Well, I'll be darned. That is really interesting. Okay, very, very good, Jim. Well, it's coming up to 4 o'clock, and I don't want to hog all your time. Somebody else may be wanting to speak to you. I don't know, maybe there's a net you need to go on at 4 o'clock. So, back to you again, Jim, for possible final. KC9VKV, over.
Roger, Roger, Terry. Well, we are the net. And so if the net leaves without us, it's got no pilot. So I don't know what to say. But I'll tell you, Terry, we are looking for great radio stories. From amateur radio to war radio stories to commercial radio stories. Just, great radio stories in general. I don't know if you might have one to depart to us or not.
No, I really don't. I do have my favorite radio set up, and that is, just a minute, pick up the power a little bit. Let me think. I go trout fishing on a pristine trout stream in Upper Michigan with a little cabin. And when I go up there, I take an ICOM 706 Mark II-G, take a 135-foot wire, insulated, throw it in the top of the tree, take another 135-foot counterpoise wire and throw it on the ground. And believe it or not, most of the time I do almost as good up there with a car battery, because it doesn't have electricity up there. I kind of can't even think. Oil lamps and a potbelly stove, but I really do like communicating when you're out in the woods that way. And I do very, very well with that simple setup. Back to you, Jim. KC9VKV WA8OPR.
Roger, Roger, Terry. That's a great story there about how to use amateur radio when you're. Now, which do you do best at, fishing or amateur radio?
Radio. I missed it. The band is taking a terrible fade up here. Back to you, Jim.
Roger, I was just questioning, when you're out on vacation like that, which do you do better, the fishing part or the radio part?
Negative copy. I've totally lost you. I don't know what happened, but you're gone. Back to you, Jim.
Roger, Terry. Well, let me jump out of here. The condition gods have frowned for the moment, so let me jump out of here, Terry. But I thank you very much for coming by and sharing your, your QSO with us, and we really enjoyed that. Now, we are recording from now until 5, and then we'll post it up on YouTube. So if you want to hear what your radio sounds like, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page, and on that page on YouTube you'll do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to the Qso-Vlog page, and you'll be looking for an air check entitled My Group Air Check 82319. My Group Air Check 82319. Roger?
Sure.
We have faded out, Terry. Well, let me say threes to you, buddy, and we'll catch you later. You have a great weekend, and if you get a chance, maybe check in next Friday, and we'll see if we have a little bit better conditions. Roger?
Roger. Jim, I can just start copying now. Yes, I got most of that. I didn't get your comments on my trout fishing radio stuff. Back to you.
So that's a great story. I was just curious which you did best, the fishing part or the radio part?
Okay, very good. They're starting to fade again. But I highly recommend a setup like that if you got the time to throw a wire in it. It's amazing what you can do. 7-3, Jim. Look for you again. W8OPR. Bye.
Roger, Terry. 3's that way, sir, and have a great afternoon, beautiful weekend, and if you get a chance, maybe join us next Friday. Maybe we'll have a little bit better conditions. 3's to you, sir. And this is KC9VKV and the Qso-Vlog network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout.
Shout.